face, or however you want to say it. If any man did anything, made a woman feel uncomfortable at all, then he was called out. Me too, me too, me too, me too. But that was okay, because it was just a general term of empowering women. So now you have Joe Biden, who, yes, has been pointed out touching little girls, whispering in their ears, and the looks on their faces. So everybody knows he's kind of creepy. And then you have a woman come out that says he came up and pressed up against her and then smelled her hair and gave her a slow kiss on her head, and she felt uncomfortable. And they're saying, well, yeah, but that's Joe. And, you know, that's not really like a Me Too moment, because he just kissed her and pushed up against her and was smelling her hair. That's not, you know, that's just, we don't want to like, this is what they're saying. We think he can beat Trump. He can't be disqualified. And we're not part of the movement trying to get rid of him. So we have to minimize what Joe did. Even though all the other men that were thrown under the bus in the Me Too movement, Joe we got to protect, because we want Joe. I think it's beyond hypocritical, and it's embarrassing if I'm them. We'll see what happens. All right, let's get march on here and finish up. I've got so much to talk about, but we already talked about the Mueller. The House Democrats are preparing the subpoenas. Let's finish up here on immigration. I have studies here about assault rifles that a study finds that assault weapons and magazine bans don't lower homicide rates. We'll get to that probably tomorrow. All right. The border, as we have been talking about, and the problem is this border issue is so significant and it keeps increasing that I am going to be talking a lot about it. So if it's like, man, it seems like you're covering it every show. Well, every day it seems to be compounding. So here, for example, here's a Breitbart article, the Border Patrol agent border crisis so far out of hand you wouldn't believe it. So let's play this and see if you can hear it.
I briefed the media and testified in Congress that our immigration system was at the breaking point. That breaking point has arrived this week at our border. CBP is facing an unprecedented humanitarian and border security crisis all along our southwest border, and nowhere has that crisis manifested more acutely than here in El Paso. On Monday and Tuesday, CBP started the day with over 12,000 migrants in our custody. As of this morning, that number was 13,400. A high number for us is 4,000. A crisis level is 6,000. 13,000 is unprecedented. On Monday, we saw the highest total of apprehensions and encounters in over a decade, with 4,000 migrants either apprehended or encountered at ports of entry in a single day. That was Monday. Yesterday, we broke the record again with 4,117. We are now on pace for over 100,000 apprehensions and encounters with migrants in March, with 90% of those, 90,000 people, crossing the border illegally between ports of entry. March will be the highest month since 2008. The arriving flows are made up primarily of Central American families and unaccompanied children. These groups cannot be repatriated expeditiously and instead are almost guaranteed to be released to remain in the U.S. indefinitely, regardless of the merits of their immigration or asylum claim.
Regardless of the merits or their asylum claim. Because they know that if you can get to the border and you have children and you get busted by the cartel and you overrun these areas, like you said, 6,000 is a saturation point, and they've got 14,000 and more are coming. So what's the plan? Until Congress changes the laws, Department of Homeland Security has to just deal with it somehow. So they've been having to release these people, illegals and their children, into our communities. San Antonio, El Paso, McAllen, all over Texas, bussing them around the country because there's no beds. And because the government has taken on the responsibility for these people, they have to let them go if they have family members or hotels or places they can go to, just to wait so they can show up for their asylum hearing to see if they actually qualify for asylum. But as we know, less than about 5% of the people will actually show up for their hearing, which means 90+% of these illegals that come in with their children, unless caught, will be permanently in our country. And then with the children, get aid, get in the schools, and continue to run up our cost. But the President Trump, Homeland Security, everyone's trying. Anyone that actually cares about our country is trying. So here's an article, Breitbart. DHS Secretary Christian Nielsen will return more migrants to Mexico. So they're pouring in, they're full. If they got children, then they get the asylum requests sent back. But it says here the Department of Homeland Security is moving more officers to the border to record the arrival of Central American migrants and is sending more migrants back to Mexico before their U.S. courtroom pleas for asylum. An agency statement says DHS Secretary Christian Nielsen directed the Customs and Border Patrol Agency to return hundreds of additional migrants per day among current rates to Mexico, consistent with U.S. law and humanitarian obligations. These are the ones without children. This increase in returns shall include individuals apprehended or encountered at or between ports of entry. Moreover, the agency is directed to plan for an expansion of MPP beyond the locations in which it currently operates in Texas and California. The crisis at our border is worsening, and DHS will do everything in its power to end it, said Nielsen in her statement. We will not stand idly by while Congress fails to act again, so all options are on the table. Nielsen also directed the Border Patrol to accelerate its planned relocation of up to 750 officers to Border Patrol sectors that are affected by the emergency. And is authorized to exceed it, and shall notify the Secretary of reassignments are planned to exceed 2,000 personnel. Man, oh man. President Trump's trying, but when you have 4,000 migrants a day running in, and Homeland Security doesn't have beds, and they know that if they bring children, they can't be sent back. But the ones that come over without kids, well, Homeland Security at least is saying, well, turn their butts around. Send them to Mexico, then they can come back over when it's time for their asylum hearing, which is bogus. The thing is, the last report I saw is over 40% of the people they're catching are coming with children because they've been told. President Trump called them out that there's Democratic attorneys at the border or over in Mexico telling them, yes, once you get in, you're going to be guaranteed asylum and you're going to get free legal counsel. So they keep pouring in and pouring in. Another article here, Texas says Texas border town is overwhelmed by mass migration. McAllen, Texas is overwhelmed. Let's see here. The Border Patrol has arrested 136,150 people between October and February. Zora had reported how President Trump put Mexico on notice. We already know that. But right now it says that there's just so many hundreds of thousands of people coming across. The city's overwhelmed. It's overrun. But the Democrats, right on schedule, right exactly like they want it. From the Gateway pundit, Democrat Gutierrez, there should be welcoming centers in every major city for illegal alien caravans. Former lawmaker Democratic Luis Gutierrez wants welcome centers in every major city for illegal caravan migrants. This is a party that seeks a national suicide, according to this article. But yeah, he said a Democrat from Illinois calls on mayors of U.S. cities to open up welcoming centers. because we're the richest country in the world, and we should be able to take them in. And then who pays for the costs, Gutierrez? California doesn't have any money. Oh, it doesn't matter, just like AOC. Money's just going to appear. Oh, well, tomorrow I'm going to go over some AOC stupid comments and talk about the Pope and the Vatican and them trying to distort the Bible to justify this. So thank you so much for listening. I'll be back tomorrow here on The Informant. Again, the-informant.com and magabook.com. See you tomorrow.